What if the anxiety you've been fighting every single day isn't actually who you are, but something your brain has been quietly rehearsing for years? I want you to stop for just a moment. Take a breath. Because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you woke up today with that familiar tightness in your chest, that low hum of dread before your feet even touched the floor, that feeling that something is wrong, even when nothing is wrong. I'm Dr. Rachel Adams. For over 15 years, I've sat across from people just like you. Brilliant, kind, capable people whose minds simply will not stop. People who have tried everything: therapy, medication, meditation apps, breathing exercises they found at 2 in the morning when sleep refused to come. And still, the anxiety returns. Not because they're broken, but because no one ever explained to them what's actually happening inside their nervous system. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to change that.
I'm going to walk you through 3 daily habits, backed by neuroscience, refined in my own clinical practice, that can begin to rewire the anxious brain. Not in months, not in years, but starting today. And stay with me until the end, because the third habit, the third one, is the missing piece almost no one talks about. It's the one that finally helped my most stuck patients break free. So let's begin where healing always begins, with understanding. Here's what I need you to know first. Your anxiety is not a personality trait. It's not a weakness. It's not something wrong with your soul. Anxiety is a pattern, a learned, repeated, reinforced pattern that lives inside your nervous system. And patterns, even the deepest ones, can be changed. Let me explain what's really happening inside you. Deep in your brain, there's a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your internal smoke alarm. Its job is to scan for danger and protect you. In a healthy nervous system, it fires when there's a real threat, a car swerving toward you, a sudden loud noise, and then it goes quiet. But in a chronically anxious brain, that alarm has been pulled so many times for so many years that it no longer knows the difference between a real fire and burnt toast. So it just keeps ringing. A thought about tomorrow's meeting? Alarm. An unanswered text? Alarm. A slightly off look from someone you love? Alarm. A quiet moment with no distraction? Alarm. Your body floods with cortisol. Your heart rate climbs. Your muscles tense. Your breath becomes shallow. And your brain, trying to make sense of all this activation, starts inventing reasons for the panic. It searches your life for problems. It replays old conversations. It imagines worst-case scenarios, not because you're irrational, but because your nervous system is begging your mind to explain the fire it can't find. And here's the part that breaks my heart every time I say it out loud to a patient. Most people, without realizing it, spend their entire lives reinforcing this exact pattern. They wake up anxious and immediately reach for their phone, flooding their brain with stress before their eyes even fully open. They skip breakfast and drink coffee on an empty stomach, sending cortisol soaring. They scroll through bad news. They rush. They hold their breath without noticing. They go to bed with their mind still racing, replaying the day, planning the next one, rehearsing fears that may never come. And every single one of those small moments is a repetition, a practice session for the anxious brain. You are not anxious because you are weak. You are anxious because you have, unintentionally, been training your brain to be this way, every day, for years. But here's the beautiful truth, the truth that took me years of clinical work to fully believe myself. If your brain learned this pattern, it can learn a new one. This is called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to physically rewire itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Your brain is not concrete, it's clay. And every habit you build is a sculptor's hand, pressing new shapes into who you are becoming. Which brings me to the first habit, the one I ask every new patient to start with. Because without this one, nothing else works. The first habit is what I call the morning nervous system reset. The first 90 seconds after you wake up set the tone for your entire neurological day. In those 90 seconds, your brain is deciding, am I safe or am I in danger? And whatever signal you give it, it will spend the next 16 hours defending. So here's what I want you to do, starting tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check the time, before you let a single thought race ahead of you. I want you to place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and I want you to take 3 slow breaths, in through the nose for 4 seconds, out through the mouth for 6 seconds, longer exhale than inhale, always. That longer exhale isn't a wellness trend, it's biology. It activates your vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, the one that runs from your brainstem all the way down through your heart, your lungs, your gut. When you extend your exhale, you are sending a direct message to your nervous system that says, we are safe, the fire is out, you can stand down. I had a patient, I'll call her Sarah, a 42-year-old mother of 2, successful, loved, and completely exhausted. She came to me saying, Dr. Adams, I don't know who I am anymore. I just know I'm tired of being scared all the time. She had tried everything. We started with just this, just 3 breaths every morning before anything else. 6 weeks later, she walked into my office and cried, not from sadness, from relief. She said, for the first time in 10 years, I woke up and didn't immediately feel afraid. That's what 90 seconds of intentional breath can begin to do. But here's where most people get trapped. They try this once, feel a small shift, and then expect their entire life to change overnight. And when it doesn't, when the anxiety returns the next afternoon, they decide it didn't work. They quit, and they go right back to reinforcing the old pattern. I need you to hear me clearly. Healing is not a single event. Healing is 1,000 small choices, repeated until your nervous system finally believes you, which leads us to the second habit. And this one is where real transformation begins to take root. The second habit is what I call sensory grounding throughout the day. Your anxious brain lives in 2 places it should almost never live: the future and the past. It rehearses what might go wrong tomorrow. It replays what already went wrong yesterday. The one place it almost never visits is now, this exact moment, the only moment that is actually real. And the only doorway back into the present moment is through your senses. So here is what I want you to practice. Several times a day, set a reminder if you need to. I want you to pause, just for 30 seconds. And I want you to name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. That's it. It sounds almost too simple to matter. But here's what's happening neurologically. When you engage your 5 senses, you are pulling cognitive resources away from the part of your brain that generates anxious thoughts, the default mode network, and redirecting them into the present focused regions of your prefrontal cortex. You are, quite literally, interrupting the anxiety circuit and reinforcing a calmer one. Every time you do this, you are laying down a new neural pathway, a new road, and eventually your brain will start defaulting to that road on its own. But I have to be honest with you about something. There is a common mistake I see almost every anxious person make, and it quietly sabotages everything. The mistake is this: people treat their anxiety as the enemy. They fight it. They argue with it. They hate themselves for having it. They try to push it down, shove it away, drown it out with noise and distraction. And every time you fight your anxiety, you feed it, because your nervous system is watching how you respond to the alarm. And when you panic about your panic, when you feel ashamed of your fear, when you tell yourself you should be over this by now, your brain learns one thing: this sensation is dangerous. We must defend more. We must stay on alert. The shift, The real shift happens when you stop fighting the wave and learn to ride it. I want you to picture something with me. Imagine your anxiety as a child standing in the doorway of your mind, scared, shaking, tugging at your sleeve. You have spent years yelling at that child to go away, to be quiet, to stop ruining your life. What if instead you knelt down and said, I see you, I hear you, you're safe with me now? That's not weakness. That is the most powerful neurological act a human being can perform. It's called self-compassion, and the research on it is staggering. People who respond to their own fear with kindness lower their cortisol faster, recover from stress more efficiently, and experience measurable changes in brain structure within weeks. You are not supposed to be at war with yourself. You never were. And that brings us to the third habit, the one I promised you at the beginning, the one almost no one talks about, the one that, in my clinical experience, is the missing piece for people who have tried everything else and still feel stuck. The third habit is what I call evening neural closure. Here's what most anxious people do at night. They lie in bed. The room is finally quiet. The distractions are gone. And the moment their head hits the pillow, their mind explodes. Every conversation from the day, every regret, every imagined failure tomorrow, every fear they've been outrunning since morning catches up with them all at once. This isn't a character flaw. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: process unfinished emotional material. The problem is, you've given it no other time to do it. So it waits until you're most vulnerable, and then it floods. The solution is to give your brain a structured window to close the day before your head ever touches the pillow. Here's how. About 30 minutes before bed, I want you to sit somewhere quiet, no screens, just you and a notebook and a pen. And I want you to write down 3 things. First, one thing that was hard today, just one. Name it, honor it. Let it exist on the page so it doesn't have to live in your body. Second, one thing you did well, even something small. You got out of bed, you answered an email you were dreading, you were patient with someone who didn't deserve it, anything. And third, one thing you are willing to release tonight. One worry, one thought, one fear, just for the next 8 hours. You can pick it back up tomorrow if you want. But for tonight, you set it down. This isn't journaling. This is neural closure. You are telling your brain, the day is finished. The processing is done. You are allowed to rest. Patients who do this consistently, and I mean consistently, for 30 days, report falling asleep faster, waking up less in the night, and most importantly, waking up with a calmer baseline, because their nervous system finally trusts that they will not abandon it, that it will be heard, that it will be tended to. That's how trust is built, with anyone, including yourself. Now I want to take a moment and say something to you directly, because I know who is watching this video. I know because I have sat with versions of you for years. You are tired. You are so tired. You have been holding it together for everyone else. You have been smiling through meetings while your chest was on fire. You have been parenting, working, loving, caretaking, while a part of you, deep inside, has been quietly screaming for someone to notice that you are not okay. I notice. I see you. And I want you to know something that I tell every patient on their very first visit. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. The very fact that you are still searching, still watching videos like this one at 11 at night, still hoping there's a way out, that is not desperation. That is courage. That is the deepest, quietest kind of courage there is. Your brain has been practicing fear for a long time. We are simply going to begin practicing safety. One breath, one grounding moment, one quiet evening at a time. And here's what science promises us. Within 30 days of consistent practice, measurable changes begin to appear in the brain. The amygdala starts to shrink slightly in volume. The prefrontal cortex, your rational, regulating, calming brain, starts to strengthen. The connections between them rewire. Your default state shifts. You are not just managing your anxiety. You are physically changing the architecture of your brain. So let me leave you with this: the morning breath, the sensory grounding, the evening closure. 3 habits, each one simple, each one rooted in real neuroscience, each one a tiny act of mercy you are offering to a nervous system that has been running on empty for far too long. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to begin, and then begin again tomorrow, and then again the day after. Because every single time you choose calm over chaos, presence over panic, compassion over criticism, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And one day, sooner than you think, you will wake up, and the tightness in your chest will be quieter, and the racing thoughts will be slower, and you will look in the mirror, and you will not recognize the calm in your own eyes. Because somewhere along the way, without you even noticing, you stopped being a person who survives the day and started being a person who lives it. That day is coming, I promise you. If anything I said tonight touched something in you, I want you to do one thing for me, just one. In the comments below, I want you to write 4 simple words. My healing starts today. Not because a comment will heal you, but because every time you make a declaration out loud, in writing, in front of witnesses, your brain begins to organize itself around that new identity. You are not just typing. You are voting for who you are becoming. And if you want to keep walking this path with me, if you want to learn how to calm a racing mind, sleep through the night again, and finally feel like yourself, subscribe to the channel. I release new videos every week, and I would be honored to walk alongside you. You are not alone in this. You never were. I'll see you in the next one.